Hi everybody, it's Christina from Pretty Distressed. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be making over this hutch and I'm gonna be using a new paint to me. This is the Chippy Barn Amulent Paint. I'm gonna be using their Ultra Tough top coat and I'm gonna be trying out some zebra brushes today. So if you wanna see how I got this look, just keep watching. If you are new here, I am a furniture painter and refinisher, and you can find me on here making videos, painting furniture, making things over, doing paint comparisons, anything basically that has to do with refinishing furniture. So if you would like to learn more about that, please consider subscribing before you leave. So if you are a subscriber or follower of mine, you know that I've been working on this hutch for quite a while. So I'm excited to finally be bringing this video to you. This project took me a lot longer because I haven't done a hutch in a while and I forgot how much work they are. And I had a really nasty bleed through issue that I had to troubleshoot through. I made a video on that. It's pretty crazy because when I started this piece, our world was a lot different and we have a lot of crazy things going on right now, but I am gonna be here making videos for you guys, teaching you how to paint. So paint with me. I want to encourage you to try new things in this season where we're kind of all just stuck in our homes and we don't know when that's going to end. I have been talking with a lot of the paint companies that I work with, and right now all of them are still shipping online. Chippy Barn, the paint that I'm working with today, is still shipping online. And if you want to try out this paint today, they're going to give you 10% off. You can just use my code Christina10 when you check out. And most of the brushes I'm going to be working with today from Zebra are available on their website, and they're available on Amazon as well. So I'm gonna link all that info down in the description box for you. But I am excited to be sharing this paint with you today because it's a new paint to me. And if you follow any other furniture painters, you will see this paint a lot and you will see these paint brushes a lot. So Chippy Barn and Zebra are really big out in the influencer world and work with a bunch of different furniture painters. So I've been seeing these for a while. I've been wanting to try them out. So both of these companies did send this product to me, but this is not a sponsored video. This is just me wanting to try out something that I've been seeing a lot around the internet. And this paint is really different than any other paint that you've seen on here before. It is a ceramic based paint and it's going to give you a really smooth finish. So I will talk about that during the process while I'm painting. So let's just get into what you want to see, the makeover. I'm going to grab my stuff and zoom you in and we will get started. So here's the piece I'm going to be working on today. I don't have an actual picture of it assembled, but it is a hutch top with this little kind of coffee table. I got this for free. These pieces don't really go together, but someone had been using them together and they were getting ready just to take it to Goodwill. So I told them that I would take it off their hands. And I think painting them is going to make them match a little bit more. And it's actually a pretty unique looking piece because of how low the base is on this hutch. I'm just prepping it here, getting all that hardware off, getting all the tape out and cleaning it off just to remove all that dirt and grime. Like with any other paint that I use, you really need to prep your piece and clean it and get all that gunk off, especially if you don't know where it's been or where it came from. It's always really important to clean your piece. And then I am going in with a wood filler and I'm just filling up the holes of the hardware that I took out. And here I'm taping off these two glass panels. The other two were really easy to remove, but the two inside ones were actually stapled in there. So if I were to remove the backing that was holding them in, I wouldn't be able to get them back in easily. And then once my wood filler dried, I'm just hopping back over there and sanding those areas down and wiping all that dust off. On the base portion, I actually sanded down the entire top because it was chipping and flaking and you cannot paint or prep on top of a surface that's failing like that. So I sanded all that stuff back before I got started. And I actually should have sanded the whole table because if your finish is failing in some portion, it's probably failing on the whole piece. I'll get into that a little bit later. If anybody watched my last video, you will know what happened on this table, but just hold tight and I'll tell you later. Since I am working with a lighter color over a darker piece, Chippy Barn and actually a lot of people that work with it recommend that you seal it with a shellac based primer so you can block that tannin bleed through that you might get. One of the painters that I trust a lot who's worked with this paint a lot is Fallon Yates from Market House Restoration, and she actually just started her own YouTube channel and she has awesome tips on furniture painting. So I'm going to link her channel up above so you guys can check it out. She uses this Zinsser bin a lot and has a great video on how to apply it, so I am just following that and using her technique today. I rolled out all the flat surfaces to the best that I could, and then I just used like a cheap chip brush that I can throw out afterwards to get into all the detailed and curved areas like the legs and some different areas on the hutch too. If you don't want to go through all the trouble of priming it, it's not required. It is going to be a good insurance for you, but if you just give it a good clean and a gentle scuff and sand, you can paint over a piece. You just might get bleed through, you don't know. So it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. And another one of Fallon's tips is to take a 220 sandpaper and lightly sand down your primer just to smooth it out before you start painting. Whether you sand or not, it's always a good idea to take a tack cloth and wipe down any dust that may collect while your primer's drying or any dust that might collect on your piece. So just always wipe it down before you start any coat. Okay, now that I'm all prepped, I am ready to paint. I'm going to be using Blue Ridge today, which is a soft muted blue with warm tones, and I'm going to be applying it with some zebra brushes today. This is the chiseled wedge brush, and I'm going to be trying out several other of their brushes during the project. They're synthetic brushes. They're going to leave a really smooth finish, and Zebra has just been really up and coming in the furniture world. They have a podcast. They have all sorts of contests that they run for furniture painters, so they're a lot of fun. So you should be following Zebra Painting on Instagram. So let's talk about what is different about Amulent Paint versus other paints on the market. This paint is specifically made with ceramic microspheres that make it dry down really smooth. This little graphic that I got off their website shows you how as their paint dries, it has these little microspheres that you can think of as marbles, and as the paint dries and settles, they really roll off of each other and really level out as opposed to a clay or chalk based paint. You are still going to see those brush strokes as you're painting it on. A synthetic brush is going to help alleviate some of those like I'm using here, but as it dries down, it's actually going to level out even more than when you're painting it on. This paint is going to take longer to dry than a typical chalk-based or mineral-based paint like you usually see me working with on here, but the more it dries down, the smoother it's going to look and the more it's going to level out. And this color is actually part of their Beautiful Home collection. So they picked a bunch of great, really talented people to curate specialty colors for them. And so this is a limited edition release. This one, Blue Ridge, was curated by Anne Michelle at Amni Design Ashburn. So you should go check out all those really talented people and the colors that they created, because this is only going to be available for a limited time and it's going to be ending soon. So here I'm grabbing another zebra brush. This is the round brush, and this is great for getting in details like here on the legs. They have a lot of these specialty brushes that are just going to help you in special situations like this. It's definitely not a necessity, but any little shortcut that helps you get your paint on faster is a plus. So after my first coat was done, I did let it dry for 4 hours before I went and did my second coat. And since I was going for a really smooth finish, I did that really quick sand with a 220 sandpaper and wiped it down before I headed in on that second coat. And when I'm going for a smooth finish, I always paint with the grain and I always keep my brush strokes going in the same direction. The last zebra brush I want to show you is this square brush, and it honestly is my favorite because look how wonderfully it gets in these little details on the hutch and how easy it is to paint this trim. Like if you're going to get one zebra brush, this would be the one that I would get. It is hard to get a close-up with my camera with a light color like this, but I am super impressed when it's completely dry, how smooth it looks. And even though I'm doing a smooth finish, I decided I wanted to just dress it up a little bit just because the piece is old and in pretty rough shape. So I'm using a 320 and just lightly distressing in areas where I want to see a little bit of that wood poking through. And whether you distress or not, you're always going to want to wipe down any dust or residue that may have popped up while it's drying before you add your top coat. I'm going to be using their Ultra Tough top coat today, which is a non-yellowing top coat that is really going to give you a lot of durability and moisture protection. I'm going to be applying it with a foam brush because that's the way I like to work with top coat. You can also use a brush or you can spray this on, whatever you prefer. When you go to stir it up, there is going to be a lot of sediment at the bottom, and you just want to make sure that all of that is really incorporated and stirred up before you start applying it. When you're working with a top coat, my best advice for you is think of using really light layers. When you do a top coat, you're going to have to do 2 to 3 coats of it, and you do not want it to be thick because it will kind of gunk up on you and you'll even get bubbles and stuff like that. So just think really thin layers. You really don't have to dip this back into the can a lot. A little bit goes a long way. So just really smooth it out. Keep your brush strokes in the same direction. Try not to rework it too much. Once you've put it on, just kind of smooth it out and move on to the next section. Chippy Barn does also have some scented waxes, so you can also use wax with this paint. I just always get a lot of questions about using top coats, and people like the durability of a top coat. I prefer wax myself, but I am doing this for you guys because I do get a lot of questions about using top coats. This does have a pretty strong odor, so I used my respirator mask when I was putting this on. It's not required, but sometimes fumes can just like mess with me and give me a headache, and I have the respirator, so I just always use it if I'm bothered by the smell of anything. When you're using a foam brush, you can see like these little bubbles right here. So I just make sure that I smooth those out as I see them. And I save my brush and reuse it by putting it in a Ziploc bag. These only cost like $1, so you can just throw it out and use a new one if you don't want to save it. At this part is where I ran into my bleed through issue, which I did a whole video on last week. So if you want to know what happened, go watch that video. It had nothing to do with this paint. It was just like a really rare case. I've never seen something like this happen before, so go see how I dealt with that. But after that first coat is dry and I got my problem all fixed, I went and did a little bit of a sanding with that 320. Nothing to like strip the finish back. I'm just scuffing it up a little bit to give that second coat something to stick to. So you're basically going to sand in between every coat, and that is what's going to give you a smooth finish. I know this is a lot more steps than you're used to seeing me doing, but when you want to go for a smooth finish, it's going to take a little bit of extra work and prep. So just to remind you what I started off with, here is what the piece looked like before, and here it is after. I had a lot of fun working with this paint. It's very different from what I'm used to, but the smooth finish that it gives when it dries down is really unlike anything that I've seen. So if that is something that you're looking for, I definitely think this paint is worth trying out. I think the top coat is going to be really durable, but I just prefer wax. A top coat is still going to be shinier than a wax, so that's just a preference for me. But if you're looking for something that's super durable, I think you'll like the top coat as well. Their waxes are scented, and I heard they're amazing, so I'm looking forward to trying one of those in the future. Thanks for joining me for today's video. If there is anything you guys want to see right now while you're stuck at home, let me know. If there's a topic you really want me to cover or a paint, I will do my best to kind of tailor some really awesome content for you guys. Stay safe, wash your hands, follow all those guidelines that are out there right now by the CDC. I love you guys, stay safe, and I will see you next time. So if you hear little voices in the background of my videos during this time, I just ask for grace, because you know, we're all home together. Here he comes.
I waited for you to stop.
Here he comes. Love you. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go in the bedroom? What are you doing? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Love you. You're the best. La 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 la. I think I'm done. And cut.